They want us.
The Dutton Ranch Season 1 finale delivered the most brutal and perfectly constructed cliffhanger in the entire Yellowstone universe. And everything about what Season 2 Episode 1 is setting up has already changed what fans thought this show was going to be. The cartel just took Carter. Mariano Reyes made the worst decision of his life the moment he sent Gato to find the one person Beth and Rip would burn South Texas to the ground to recover. Will Kayce Dutton arrive in Rio Paloma in time to help save Carter, or will Beth go in alone before her brother even crosses the state line? Will Rip Wheeler walk into Mariano's compound with a plan, or with something far more dangerous than a plan? Is Joaquin Reyes the man who pulled the trigger on Rob Will, and does that truth surface in Season 2 in a way that destroys him or sets him free? Will Beulah Jackson become Beth's most unlikely weapon against the cartel that just killed her son, or does the betrayal cut too deep for Beth to ever trust her again? And with Kayce Dutton also being taken to Texas by Tom Weaver at the end of Marshals Season 1, is the Yellowstone universe actually converging on Rio Paloma for the first time in franchise history? 2 kidnapped sons, 2 Dutton siblings, 1 cartel, and 1 state. Every single one of those questions has an answer in this breakdown, and it covers all of them. If this channel has been helping make sense of every trailer and episode drop in the Yellowstone universe, hitting subscribe and leaving a like right now means never missing a single breakdown when Season 2 lands. This channel covers every detail across Dutton Ranch, Marshals, and everything else Taylor Sheridan builds next. The single most important moment in the Season 1 finale is not the shooting, not Rob Will's death, and not even the image of Carter being taken. It is Beth Dutton standing in the dark afterward and saying nothing. That silence is the most terrifying thing this show has produced across 9 episodes, because the audience knows exactly what silence from Beth Dutton means. It does not mean she is afraid. It does not mean she is frozen. It means she has already made every decision that needs to be made and is simply waiting for the moment to move. The weight of that scene is enormous for every fan who has watched Beth across 5 seasons of Yellowstone and now 9 episodes of Dutton Ranch, because the show has spent all of that time establishing one unbreakable truth about this character. Beth Dutton does not survive things. She dismantles them. What Mariano Reyes has done by taking Carter is not leverage. It is a declaration of war against the single most dangerous woman in the Yellowstone universe, and the show made certain every viewer felt that declaration land in the pit of their stomach. The finale cut from Carter being taken to Beth's face and held there long enough for the full meaning of what had just happened to settle. Not panic, not grief, calculation, the kind that ends with someone else losing everything. However, the situation is far more complicated than Beth's fury, because the finale also confirmed something that changes the entire strategic picture of Season 2. Rip discovered that the 10-petal ranch operation is not a livestock smuggling arrangement. It is a fentanyl pipeline running through South Texas, and Beth has already begun building a legal case using the ranch's forged documents. Mariano is not just a cartel boss who took a child. He is a federal criminal whose entire operation Beth now has documented evidence of. And that evidence is the thing that transforms Season 2 from a rescue mission into a war fought on 2 fronts simultaneously. However, unfortunately, none of that documentation matters if Carter does not survive long enough to see what Beth does with it. The most likely explanation for how Season 2 Episode 1 opens is not a cold revenge sequence, and the evidence strongly suggests the show is going to wrong-foot every viewer who expects Beth and Rip to go loud immediately. The proof of this is in how the finale positioned Rip in its closing minutes. Rip Wheeler has always been the most disciplined fighter in the Dutton universe, the man who understood before anyone else that the difference between surviving and not surviving is usually whether a person moves before they are ready. The confirmed production detail that matters most here comes from the Season 2 renewal announcement itself. Benjamin Cavell, the incoming showrunner who built his reputation on SEAL Team, has taken over from Chad Feehan. Cavell's entire creative history is about precision under pressure, about people who move toward danger with intelligence rather than impulse. The most logical conclusion is that Season 2 Episode 1 begins not with Beth and Rip at the gate of Mariano's compound, but with them doing something far more tactically necessary, finding out exactly where Carter is being held before a single shot is fired. That decision to wait, even for an hour, even for a day, is going to cost Beth something she does not have a lot of: patience. And the consequence of that restraint for Episode 1's emotional architecture is enormous, because a Beth Dutton who is choosing to hold still while her son is in someone else's hands is performing the single most difficult act this character has ever been asked to perform. Every detail in the finale pointed toward a Season 2 that understands the difference between Beth Dutton's anger and Beth Dutton's intelligence, and Episode 1 is where fans find out which one the new showrunner is betting on. But that development raises an even more dangerous question about Joaquin Reyes. Waqin is Mariano's biological son, raised alongside Beulah Jackson as an adoptive brother, and the Season 1 finale positioned him at the dead center of the question that every fan is still debating weeks after the episode aired. Did Joaquin pull the trigger on Beulah on his own father's orders? The evidence is overwhelming and deliberately incomplete at the same time, which is exactly what the best Yellowstone Universe finales always do. The show cut to Joaquin in his car with a gun, visibly shaking, in the immediate aftermath of the shot. Oriana's account confirmed she heard the gunshot and saw only a black SUV leaving. Austin, the whistleblowing 10-pedal ranch hand, had documented motive and opportunity. The most logical conclusion is that Joaquin did it, but that the show has planted enough ambiguity to spend at least the first act of Season 2 refusing to confirm it directly. What the confirmed production notes from Paramount's Season 2 cast announcement make clear is that Juan Pablo Raba returns as Joaquin, which means his story is not finished. A guilty Joaquin who killed his adoptive brother on a biological father's orders is not a villain in the traditional sense. He is a man whose entire sense of identity has just been demolished by the person who gave it to him. And if this theory proves correct, that Mariano ordered the hit and Joaquin carried it out and now has to live inside that knowledge, the consequence for Season 2 is a Joaquin who is the most volatile and potentially the most valuable person in Rio Paloma, because a son who has done the unforgivable for a father and received nothing but further demands in return is a man who is already looking for a reason to turn. Beth Dutton specializes in finding those reasons and making them irresistible. The evidence also points toward a third force reshaping the Season 2 battlefield from a direction no one in Mariano's organization has calculated for: Beulah Jackson. Annette Bening has delivered some of the most controlled and quietly devastating work of her career across Season 1, building Bula as a woman who made a deal with something she could manage 15 years ago and spent every subsequent year discovering that what she invited in cannot actually be managed, only fed. The finale stripped that illusion completely. Will is dead, the arrangement is destroyed, and Beulah Jackson is kneeling over her son's body in the place she built, which is now a crime scene, which is now evidence in the legal case Beth Dutton is assembling. The most likely explanation for what Bula does in Season 2, Episode 1 is not retreat and not surrender. It is the specific thing that a woman of Beulah's intelligence and pride does when she has been made to look like a fool by the people she trusted. She recalibrates entirely and ruthlessly. Kelly Riley confirmed in a recent interview that she wants Beth and Beulah's dynamic to continue in Season 2, describing it as a relationship that needs to be rebuilt on level ground. Level ground between Beth Dutton and Beulah Jackson is not peace. It is two people who have every reason to destroy each other, choosing instead to aim in the same direction at the same target. The most logical conclusion is that Season 2, Episode 1 puts Bula at Beth's door, not as an enemy and not as an ally, but as a woman with 15 years of institutional knowledge about Mariano's operation, a grief so fresh it has not yet hardened into strategy, and absolutely nothing left to protect, except the chance to make Mariano pay for what he took from her. And if this theory proves correct, the consequence for Carter's rescue is enormous, because Beulah Jackson is the one person in South Texas who knows where Mariano keeps the things he values most: the specific locations, the specific people, the specific pressure points that neither Beth nor Rip has had 9 episodes to map. While the main conflict dominates every fan conversation entering Season 2, there is another storyline building quietly beneath the surface that every viewer needs to pay close attention to, and it belongs to Beulah Jackson. Natalie Alyn Lind has been one of the most quietly powerful elements of Season 1, constructing Oriana as a young woman caught between a family legacy she did not choose and a love for Carter that the show has always treated with more seriousness than a typical teenage subplot deserves. The Season 1 finale gave Oriana a revelation in its closing minutes that was nearly swallowed by the shock of Rob Will's death and Carter's kidnapping. She is pregnant. The show positioned that reveal with absolute deliberate intention, placing it at the exact moment when every other storyline was detonating, so that fans would feel what Oriana is feeling, the arrival of something life-changing in the middle of a disaster she has no control over. Lind confirmed to USA Today that Oriana's life changes forever in Season 2. That is not the language used to describe a supporting character circling the edges of someone else's rescue arc. That describes a character whose story is about to become central to the season's emotional spine. The most likely theory, building around Oriana in Season 2, is that her pregnancy becomes the piece of information that changes Beth Dutton's approach to everything. Beth's relationship with maternity is one of the most painful threads in the entire Yellowstone universe. A young woman pregnant with a Dutton boy's child, in the middle of a cartel war over that boy's survival, is not a subplot Beth can process at a distance. It is the thing that makes this personal, in a way even Carter's kidnapping could not fully achieve. Connecting this back to the main story, if Oriana tells Beth she is carrying Carter's child before Carter is recovered, it introduces something irreversible into the negotiation Beth is building with Mariano. And Beth Dutton with irreversible stakes is the most dangerous version of Beth Dutton there is. What makes the setup for Season 2 Episode 1 even more significant is its direct and confirmed connection to the events of Marshals Season 1, and understanding that connection transforms what Episode 1 is actually doing, from a rescue story into something the Yellowstone universe has never built before. Both Dutton Ranch and Marshals Season 1 ended in the same week, with the same structural move, a villain taking a Dutton child to Texas. Tate Dutton was taken by Tom Weaver at the end of the Marshals finale, heading to the same state where Mariano Reyes is now holding Carter. Fans immediately recognized this, and the response across Reddit and social media was immediate. I think this sets up the crossover between Marshals and Dutton Ranch. Rip will save Tate in Texas. The cast has not denied it. Kelly Riley said, maybe, when TV Insider asked about a crossover, and from Beth Dutton, maybe means yes. Kayce Dutton spent an entire season of Marshals becoming the most capable tactical operator in the franchise, combining Navy SEAL training with federal law enforcement authority in a way that gives him access to resources Beth and Rip simply do not have, operating outside legal structures. The most logical conclusion is that Season 2 Episode 1 plants the thread, an intercepted communication, a piece of intelligence from Everett McKinney, a call that arrives from a number Beth recognizes that tells her Kayce is already heading south. That thread turns Season 2 into something the franchise has been building toward since Yellowstone ended, a Dutton family reunion built not on nostalgia or legacy, but on two siblings fighting for two kidnapped boys in the same state, against the same cartel infrastructure, with everything they have. After everything the Season 1 finale revealed, Carter in Mariano's hands, Waqin fractured by what his father made him do, Bula stripped of her son and ready to recalibrate, Oriana carrying a secret that changes every calculation, and Kayce Dutton heading toward Texas with his own missing child, and the full weight of the Marshals badge behind him, the question every fan is now focused on is the simplest and most important: when does Season 2 actually arrive? Paramount Plus officially renewed Dutton Ranch for Season 2 on June 24, 2026, before the Season 1 finale had even aired, a reflection of the show's record-breaking debut of 12.9 million global viewers in its first 7 days, the biggest original series launch in Paramount Plus history. Jane Wiseman, Paramount's head of originals, said in the renewal announcement, "Beth and Rip are among the most iconic duos in television history, and we are thrilled to bring a whole new world to life with Dutton Ranch for our subscribers around the world." Kelly Riley confirmed in a July 2026 Hollywood Reporter interview that filming is slated to begin in early 2027, adding, "The room starts up pretty quick. I think we're going to be very much involved in the room, so the next 6 months is all about writing it." Based on the production pattern of Season 1, which began filming around August 2025, before premiering in May 2026, a comparable timeline puts Season 2 on track for a mid to late 2027 premiere on Paramount Plus and the Paramount Network. Ed Harris, who plays Everett McKinney and openly admitted feeling underused during the filming of Season 1, confirmed he is signed for 2 seasons and has been told Everett will have significantly more to do in Season 2. A detail that matters enormously for Carter's rescue arc, because Everett is the one character in Rio Paloma who already has cartel intelligence and the specific kind of violent competence that Mariano has not yet been forced to account for. Benjamin Cavell joins as showrunner, and his background-building SEAL team means Season 2 is going to handle the tactical dimensions of a cartel rescue with a level of precision the franchise has not shown before. Based on everything confirmed and everything the finale set in motion, the wait is going to feel like a very long time, and based on what is coming, it is going to be worth every week of it. Now the conversation moves to the fans. Does Kayce Dutton arrive in Texas before Beth and Rip go in after Carter, or does Beth move first and leave Kayce to catch up to a war she has already started? Is Waqin the man who killed Rob Will? And when that answer comes, does it make him Beth's most dangerous enemy or her most powerful asset? And when Oriana tells Carter she is pregnant, assuming Carter comes home, does that news pull this fractured family together or become the thing that makes an already complicated situation impossible to navigate? The video on screen covers everything else fans need to know before Season 2 drops.